Aloha, friends and family, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the counter narrative. And the counter narrative is exactly what it says. The counter narrative to what? The narrative that we've all been given. The scripted reality that we've all been given. So unless there is a counter narrative, it never changed, right? It would never change. We would have to have a counter narrative. And the counter narrative, I'm here to say, is what creates the splitting of the timeline. Humanity, for the first time, collectively, has been given the option of a counter narrative. And so we could go into all the many facets and aspects of the counter narrative. But to simplify it, like how could a person out there determine what the counter narrative is? It's the opposite of the narrative. It's always going to be the opposite of the narrative, the mainstream narrative. And when I say mainstream, I'm not just limiting that to fake news. It gets into education narrative. It gets into religious narrative. It gets into healthcare narrative. It gets into monetary narratives. All right, so whatever the mainstream narratives were and are, the opposite of that is the counter narrative. So that's how you can quickly establish what the truth is. Right? Most of us have awakened now to the fact of the matter that the narrative pushers have been lying the entire time. Just like they always were before, but we didn't notice it. We weren't paying attention to it. We didn't really care. And so we had bought the narrative. We believed all the narratives and basically just went along with it. So the only difference now is that we're awake. Many are awake, and most, if not all, are awakening. Which is another way of saying raising your conscious vibration higher. And as it raises higher, it becomes more aware of the counter narrative and or the splitting timelines. Or the splitting timeline.
And out of the gym. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza Sport AS tires.
And am I getting a commercial? Sorry about that.
With a 50,000-mile limited warranty.
Weird. Huh. The whole thing's freaking out. I have like no control over what's happening with it. Anyway. Are you going to be able to tell someone about this or show this to someone? Meaning what you see? how you see it. And if you're seeing it vastly different than the way most people have been seeing it, right? You're the conspiracy theorist then. You're the tinfoil hat person then. Not so much anymore, right? But that's how it was. That's how entrenched in the narrative everybody was. That if you heard anything from the counter narrative, everybody turned against you, or everybody looked at you sideways, or everybody labeled you some label. It's like nobody ever knew how to think for themselves, ever, about anything. Because it was all based in narrative, a false narrative, a deceptive narrative, a destructive narrative. So for those of you that readily see this counter narrative, this option to something that you in the past never had an option to, you never had another choice, you never had something else to stand upon other than perhaps, your own personal truth, your own personal realizations. But as far as the rest of the world went, you're on your own. So for everybody that knows that and recognizes that, then we know and we recognize that there is the counter narrative, there is the splitting away of a different timeline, there is now the possibility, and a very high one, that a completely different timeline will be played out on this earth, other than the one that went along with the narrative, the mainstream narrative, the mainstream mind control, whatever you want to call it. It's all of, it's a bunch of different things, and we're trying to bring it to its simplicity that we might easily see it and talk about it and relate it to another person that then can see it more clearly, because there's so much confusion, there's so many things in this bottleneck. We've been bottlenecked into a place where all these different layers of all of this are bringing forth things that have to be examined, and you have to, again, make your choice, make your determination. There's the left-hand path and the right-hand path clearly before us, and you're going to go down one of those paths. And again, this is so hard to grasp, but it's true. Those that pick the left-hand path are going to fade away and disappear from those that choose the right-hand path. Well, how does that work, and what happened to them? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how it works out, what the details are of it. Because we know on our path and on our timeline, things get better, not worse. Things become freer, not more constricted. Truth opens up. It is not suppressed. The light shines. It is not hidden. Humans recognize themselves and their other selves as all being part of one greater self. So the cells of the body can no longer fight with each other and argue amongst themselves in this greater body that will be a healthy body, that will be exactly what the Creator had in mind for all of these bodies. And since we now know that we are multidimensional creatures, it's imperative that we have help across the entire spectrum. And that is part of this balancing thing that we're experiencing collectively as the human family, as the human body. So we are in the midst of the storm. But I would say the worst is over in the sense that we're on the downhill side of the mountain now. We traversed to the top of Mount Meru. We had the encounter on the mountaintop. We were given the stone tablets within. And we're now traveling down the backside of the mountain into the promised land. If you can hold your frequency and your vibration at this level, or get it to the level, or get it in the range of being safe. Safe from what? Safe from traveling on the third density timeline, on the left-hand path, into whatever that chaos becomes, or became, if we're looking at it from the future. So my soul is reminding me and us to remember that in order for you to have gotten there, you came through this here, and you took the right-hand path, or you took the right path. You ascended out of the clown show, the illusion, the delusions that come with the illusion. Hopefully this will get posted, because YouTube is making it quite difficult for me to exist on YouTube. And so I'm just barely here hanging on by a thread. This could be the last video I ever make, because they're making it to where when I try to upload a video, it takes so long and my phone gets so hot, it just becomes impractical for me to even do it. And then when they do something does post, clearly it's not showing up in very many places. So I'm sort of, that's what they call shadow banned. You're not invisible, but you might as well be, right? But here's what I know. Nothing will stop what's coming. I've been saying that for a long time. What is it that's coming? The counter narrative is what is coming and is now here. Nothing can stop it, and nothing did stop it. It's here now, the counter narrative. We leave you in the love, unity, and light of the infinite Creator. Until we meet again.